Is Cam the answer? Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It is Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. As always, joined alongside Gavin Tony. It's a beautiful 72-degree day out here in the Philadelphia suburban area. Gavin, how are you doing today on such a fine, nice, warm day in November?
I'm great, Zach. Listen, the Masters starts tomorrow. I'm excited. Zach, I know you're excited as well. And, yeah, 72 degrees today. I might go outside after the show. Might be some lunch outside, actually. So, let's see how that happens. Regarding the sports-wise, Zach, I am not happy. Not because I had to Penn State on the day, but a whole nother topic. But, Zach, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Stayed up late to watch a game that really shouldn't have been as close as it was, but it was. So, I mean, with that being said, that kind of leads us into it. Like you said, the Masters are kicking up this week. It's going to be exciting to watch. I'm just trying to think of some other things going on, not much in its entirety. But Patriots avoided an upset last night. Gavin, you texted me. You asked me how I thought Cam played. I said he played pretty well, but he was playing the Jets, and I was, I'm reading around those stuff, and some of the questions that I was looking at were,
what are you doing? Any questions?
I'm
back in the room. I'm going to
take it away, Gav.
Well, Zach has a little technical difficulties, but yes, ladies and gentlemen, I did text Zach yesterday or last night about Cam's performance, and to be honest, I was not happy, and here's why. Zach, we saw your cutaway. We saw Cam Newton, and you said, "Is Cam the answer?" Be honest, he is, but Cam Newton is being set up to fail in New England. And the reason why I say that, Zach, is damn it, who the hell is he throwing to?
Well, that's one of the questions. That's what I was getting to prior to our little interesting disruption as it's part of the show. It's what makes it so great, Gavin. But my question was, did Cam make a mistake going to New England? And that's a question I've started seeing being thrown around me. What were the other options? Of course, even the GOAT. I mean, Gavin, again, this is going to be a hotly contested topic in the future, but Tom Brady arguably is one of the, if not the greatest of all-time quarterbacks. I mean, even he struggled last year with this team. And the defense was better last year. And they started off 8-0. And they couldn't even get out of the first round. So Cam Newton's not better than Tom Brady. I don't think anybody is ever going to argue that. So it's not like he has the most talent in the world around him. He did what he could last night. He dropped 30 on the Jets, but the Jets aren't good. I mean, that's for sure. But Gavin, continue.
Zach, it's a shame because Cam Newton is being thrown under the bus, but they won't show the real problems of the New England Patriots. Zach, I remember last week I came on the show saying we're not just going to sit here and talk about how many penalties that were given up by the undiscipline of the team. We're not going to sit here and talk about the drop passes and the lack of people he's thrown to. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Cam Newton did fumble the ball versus the Bills at the end of the game. But Zach, you can't blame Cam Newton for fumbling the ball. He's just trying to get himself to win. And
we're already in field goal position. Honestly, I mean, it's just a tough play. It was a great defensive effort. Sometimes fumbles aren't always the player's fault that's holding the ball. You could be holding a little loose, but that was a great defensive play. And they were in that game. They were playing a really good defense. They're not the better team, and they hung around. They were down by 3 at that point.
And then you go to last night. Zach, me and you, we're not fond of this man, all right? We don't like Adam Gase, damn it. We don't. Joe Flacco played well last night. He had 3 touchdowns, Zach. He had a nice 70-yard touchdown bomb to forgot who the guy was, but that's how relevant the Jets are. I could care less. Oh my God! And then the fact that Cam Newton only won off a field goal, 51 yards out. But by the way, that was a nice pass to set it up, Zach. But why is it that Bill Belichick is just letting this man rot? What and at the trade deadline, Zach, and here this is why. I know Bill Belichick doesn't work with the offense unless Josh McDaniels is crew and right there and stuff. And they're trying to turn Cam Newton into a pocket passing quarterback, and that's not his forte. All right, we saw what his forte was. Yeah, it may have gotten hurt here and there, but it won him games. He did it with a Jonathan Stewart in the backfield. Remember that, Zach? D'Angelo Williams? Steve Smith was arguably his best wide receiver ever. Then you got an overweight Kelvin Benjamin and an old Greg Olsen. But we're not going to get into any of that. Zach, what I'm trying to say is this. The trade deadline came. You had a chance. You could have got some wide receivers. All right, there was talk about Julio Jones on the move. You were looking to get rid of somebody. You could maybe did a switch down on us, hypothetically speaking. Will Fuller, was looking to get out of Houston, and Aaron Rodgers couldn't get a no wide receiver, even though I don't think he needs one. The opportunity was there to get somebody else for Cam Newton, and you didn't do it. So, Zach, my question for you is it Cam's fault for the record, or is it bad Patriots' fault? Like, who gets the blame for this?
I mean, one of them has an NFL MVP, which is a lot of credit, but also a 0-1 record in the Super Bowl and, playoff success here and there. The other has got 6 rings. So which one are you going to trust based on history? The Patriot way or the Cam way? And Cam Newton has been nothing but phenomenal when it comes to his behavior this year, as far as taking a very cheap deal, which was mostly incentive-based. And remember, he was playing really well. He unfortunately had COVID, and everything kind of fell off the rails after that. But they won last night. I mean, they're going to be playing the Jets again. They got an opportunity to play the Dolphins, although the Dolphins are looking much better. You get another opportunity at the Bills, and you have the best coach, arguably, in NFL history. You are far from having the offensive talent you need, but they've made it work before. Julian Edelman will be back at one point this season. There was a point where this team had Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, and Julian Edelman last year, and they looked great during that time. Have the Patriots failed Cam Newton? No. If Tom Brady was here, I'd say yes. They failed Tom Brady in this specific instance. But Cam Newton is a newcomer. He knew what he was coming to. He didn't fail himself. He wants to prove himself. And damn it, they're going to give him an opportunity to do it this year because he deserves this opportunity. He deserves this chance. When you talk about a guy who deserves a chance, that Panthers team did him so dirty. They let him go at the latest time. They were saying we're in conversations mutually about a trade, and Cam comments, no, you're not. I had no interest in that. They could have cut him earlier before teams started making signings and deciding to get quarterbacks. But he bet on himself. And that's who he's bet on right now. He's not bet on Bill Belichick to make the right decision. He's betting on himself. Gavin, if he was playing really well and we just sat here and said, he doesn't have wide receivers, this conversation would be different. But the fact that he has made enough mistakes to the point where we can sit here and have that conversation, at that point, you got to start looking at Cam Newton. But Cam Newton's not the reason they're 3-5 or whatever they are. If he gets in the end zone against Seattle, they're 500.
It's a good defensive.
If they kick the field goal and they go into overtime, or if they score a touchdown, the drive that he fumbles on, they're 5-3. Both those are pivotal things by Cam Newton. That O-line is nothing special. But this team can turn it around. The Patriot way has worked for so many years. It's going to continue to work, whether it's Cam at the helm or not. But the bottom line is this was a very unexpected thing. You never would have thought Bill Belichick would go out and get a guy like Cam Newton. Because for Josh McDaniels, he's used to a pocket passer. He's used to not really having much controversy from the locker room perspective. But I think Cam Newton's gotten a lot of unnecessary shade. I've never really seen that much of an issue from him. Honestly, I think he definitely has gotten a bad rap to an extent because of the energy he brings, because it's different and it's unique. At the end of the day, I think it's simple. Give him the rest of the year, let it play out, and for the Patriots' sake, time will ultimately tell. Cam Newton's not the oldest guy. He's not banged up as much as we thought he was. He really took an opportunity in this offseason to get healthy and look right. And he's had some good spots this year. It has not been a dumpster fire. There's a lot of positives coming out of this for Cam Newton. But again, it's the Jets, so don't get excited.
Zach, I want to go back real quick. You talked about Carolina, and I agree with you. They let him go. They did him dirty, damn it. And the reason why we say dirty, because one is the truth, but Zach, look at the teams that he could have went to. The Chargers before they drafted Justin Herbert. He could have went to the Colts, the Bears before they traded for Nick Foles. And you could ultimately maybe put, this is hypothetically speaking, you could put the Jaguars in there as well. Excuse me. But the best fit for him was the Colts. You had an offensive line there. All right. You had wide receivers there. All right. The defense is I'm going to say they're underrated. They're underrated defensively, Zach.
They're the best defense in the league on paper right now.
And they got arguably one of the best offensive lines in the league. The Colts went out and got Phillip Rivers. You know why? Because you waited too late to get rid of Cam Newton. They were waiting, Zach. They were waiting for him. There was reports saying, Adam Schefter said, the Colts are waiting to see if Cam Newton either gets released or get traded. And they waited a whole month. And by the time they did it, Phillip Rivers was already there. Justin Herbert was already on the board for the Chargers. That was their guy they wanted to get. The Jaguars already set in stone that Gardner Minshew was going to be the guy, even though he looked really great this weekend, Zach. So we're going to maybe throw him in the conversation. And they already made the trade for Nick Foles to be in Chicago. So what does that leave? Cam Newton's finally a free agent. No team signs. He sat in there for a long time, Zach. The only team you could say, okay, well, the Giants maybe. No, but they were going to ride with Daniel Jones. You could say maybe Washington, but I know the stats doesn't make a great comparison for Dwayne Haskins due to the fact that he was playing better than Kyle Allen. So what happens, Zach? He sits there and waits and waits and waits. What's the first team to call? The New England Patriots. I was actually fine with this. Kind of like, you know what? You got a great coach. You got Josh McDaniels, a great offensive mind. Maybe this could work. Yeah, you made great points, fumbles and field goals. It could have been 5-3. That was a great defensive stop for both Bills and the Seahawks. But the bottom line is this: Cam Newton did wrong in Carolina, and the lack of offensive help in New England when it comes to passing wise, wide receiver wise, is not there. The offense
Yeah,
line,
I mean, it was not
he
there
got hit
last
a lot
year
last
with Tom
year.
Brady. So I mean, it's not like anything's that mega different this year. But when Julian Edelman comes back, and Edelman had a historic day in week 2 with Cam Newton, so he's for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. This team, if Stephon Gilmore comes back and plays, I mean, that defense looks a lot better. He's the best corner in the league without a doubt. So we'll have to see what happens. It will play out. I do have confidence the Patriots can possibly make a playoff push. But again, you have two teams, Miami and Buffalo, who are both looking really good this year. And again, the Jets completely continuing to be a dumpster fire. We know that. Coming up after this, some more NFL news. Is the Steelers' perfect record in doubt after 4 COVID reserved players, including quarterback Ben Roethlisberger? We'll break down what that means after this. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. It was breaking news a little earlier this morning. We did know coming into the show that 4 guys have been put on the COVID reserve list. For those who may or may not know, it does not mean necessarily that you've tested positive. It means that you've been in contact with someone who has tested positive. You were involved in a contact tracing with someone who has tested positive. So, Gavin, I got to ask you, the Steelers, 8-0. They're looking really good. They almost had a scare against the Dallas Cowboys, which who would have thought, honestly. But if this holds true, I think the 5-day requirement before, if you get a negative test in 5 days, then Roethlisberger will be able to play on Sunday. But the next 2 games, Gavin, they're at home against the Bengals. They're on the road against the Jaguars. They went 8-8 last year with who would be the starter if Roethlisberger is out in Mason Rudolph. Jalen Samuels is also out, who is their second-string, arguably third-string running back. So, Gavin, are you concerned right now, or do you think that if all this blows over at some point, whether it's a positive test and double negative, or if there's never a positive test, that he'll return? These next 2 games are not – I don't want to say that you should overlook a game in the NFL, but you are playing the Bengals and the Jaguars, which is going to be as easy as it gets for this team over the next few weeks.
Well, Zach, I got to disagree with you, and here's why. Regardless if Big Ben comes back or not, or positive or negative, and we don't want to see Big Ben positive, obviously, because you don't want to wish on anybody. The Steelers are overrated. Zach, the Baltimore Ravens turned over the football 4 times last week, 2 weeks ago, excuse me, and they only won by 1 possession, barely. Last week, you look at it. The Dallas Cowboys, out of all teams, the Cowboys almost won. Could have won. Should have won. I was rooting for the Cowboys this week, ladies and gentlemen. The Steelers are overrated, and the best team in football is not them, regardless of the record is. Zach, who had they played? Baltimore? Okay, you get to play them again. You got lucky. They did.
They got a pick 6 against Lamar Jackson on the first offensive play of the game.
Exactly. They ran for 296 yards. Okay, who else did you play? Tennessee? You barely beat Tennessee, by the way, Zach. The Steelers are not that good, everybody. The Eagles almost beat the Steelers. We know that, Zach. What I'm trying to say is this, and I'll hand it to you. It's time for us to pump the brakes, regardless if Big Ben plays or not, because Big Ben is not what everybody was making him out to be. It's the players around him look good, but Chase Claypool has cooled off. All right, Juju Smith-Schuster, he's here. He's hot and cold, and everybody else, and James Conner, he's here and there. The defense is there. You lost Devin Bush early in the year due to with a torn ACL. Minka Fitzpatrick looks like a stud. Great trade. Bad trade for Miami, but good trade for you guys. But Zach, my takeaway is this: the Steelers are overrated, and they're not the best team in the AFC. They're really not. I think it's the Chiefs that really is the best team in the AFC.
And the Chiefs look like a very good team. There's no doubt about that. Patrick Mahomes should be the front runner for MVP right now. With that being said, I'm going to go back to the black and yellow. Pittsburgh Steelers were 8-8 last year. They were 2 or 3 pivotal plays away from being 10-6 or even 9-7, which would have given them enough to make the playoffs. Remember, they were on their backup and third-string quarterback at some points. Before Mason Rudolph got a concussion, he was playing well enough to win games. We knew they were going to be good when they came back this year. This is a great defense. Mike Tomlin, all the credit in the world, he could have tanked last year. Chose not to. Chose to keep building that defense. And for what? For what we see this year. James Washington continues to look good. Juju Smith-Schuster, yes, Gavin, he is hot and cold. Chase Claypool, again, he's cooled off for sure. But this team is still not only good enough to win games, but they're good enough to go far in the playoffs. I still have confidence in this team. Are they overrated? I mean, nobody's really sitting here saying they're the best team in the league. Some power rankings say they're number one. But I think that if you say Chiefs or Steelers, everyone's going to say it's the Chiefs. So I don't think they're overrated. I think they're placed right where they should be. And until they lose a game, Gavin,
The record, Zach, you say the same thing.
Flaw, I can't really look down on the Steelers yet.
Zach, we say this about Justin Herbert. The record doesn't reflect the play, right? And the record doesn't reflect the play of the Steelers because they got blessed with the earliest schedule to start off with. Like, you couldn't ask anything better than that.
And they play the Jags and Bengals the next 2 weeks.
And then you play
They could be 10-0. Even without Ben Roethlisberger, they could be 10-0.
I will say this. The Steelers aren't going to the Super Bowl. All right? They're not going to the Super Bowl. They're far from a Super Bowl caliber team.
What are they missing?
They're missing, I would say, a consistent wide receiver.
Okay.
Consistent wide receiver. And obviously, my linebacker's hurt. Secondary is good. Minka Fitzpatrick the ball anywhere he can, Zach. I'm not fond of Big Ben. The offense has really not looked their best in the past 3 weeks. You go back to the Titans game. Go back to the Baltimore game. Go back to the Baltimore game. They didn't have any points. Last week, same thing. We're starting to see the true Pittsburgh Steelers come out, especially the true Big Ben. I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers go 10-6, or 12-3 or whatever, or 13-3, and then lose and ultimately lose in their first playoff game.
I mean, they haven't been in the playoffs since Ben was healthy last time. They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, in the multiple interception game from Ben Roethlisberger. As far as this team will go, is how good Ben Roethlisberger is. If he keeps playing well, I have no reason to believe they can't compete for the AFC Championship and arguably could find a way to get into the Super Bowl. Again, there is a bad man in Kansas City right now who might get in his way.
There's a bad man in Kansas City, and there's a guy in Baltimore starting to figure his things out.
We'll continue to cover that. Of course, there are concerns in Baltimore. We'll continue to voice those throughout the week, but they're winning games. They're doing what they have to. I thought in the beginning of the year they're the most perfect team, but Lamar Jackson does have to continue to step up. But credit to him, there's not a lot of.
He did good last week.
Not a lot of wide receivers around him.
He missed three passes last week?
It was a good week for him. You got to get the run game going. Mark Ingram, of course, is injured. But coming up after this, the Sixers' new threads. Could this be the turning point in the process that they need, or could this at least be symbolic of it? And how much are our expectations for this upcoming season? Coming up.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this.
Welcome back on the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show, 1122 here on the East Coast. Gavin, I noticed in the back screen you had it up. Why don't you show it off if you still have it up there? 76ers unveiling new threads. They look phenomenal. Bringing back some black for the Sixers. That is Boathouse Brown. It's got TTP on it. Trust the process, as it's known. It could be something symbolic here. I'm not too big on symbols when it comes to sports, but this arguably could be something. The Sixers team has had some major changes in this offseason, and they were lost cause at the end of last year. And Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are going to be healthy. You go out and you get yourself a championship-winning coach in Doc Rivers. You get yourself a really good front office, pretty much built all together. You, of course, keep out in brand, but you also bring in a lot of talent like Daryl Morey. And while you haven't touched the roster yet, I feel more confident in this team. And they can go out and still make a splash. They can still go out and get Buddy Hield. They can still go out and get some other shooters around. James Harden's a far fetch, but that's, of course, a possibility as well. I'm not going to bet on that. But the bottom line is, Gavin, we have some nice new jerseys here showing off and repping Philadelphia. We've been asking for black jerseys back for a while. They're not going to be the throwbacks that we liked in the early 2000s that Allen Iverson had and that team all had before the logo transition, which, of course, Gavin also has pulled up. I'd love to see them rep those for a couple games this season with the old style logo on the Wells Fargo floor. But, Gavin, we are 1 month and 12 days away from this season. Are these jerseys to you a symbol that this team could be on the right steps moving forward?
I don't like these jerseys one bit, Zach. I don't like them one bit. Here's why. It reminds me too much of the Clippers. Just a little bit. Can you see that? I do like the new floor idea. Ladies and gentlemen, for all of our little older viewers, those that remembers the 90s, the early 2000s, and the late 90s, the Allen Iverson blacks and the blue. I want to see those ones again, Zach. I like those jerseys. Those are my favorite.
And the white, all three of those colors, the black, the blue, and the white with that Sixers logo on it, were absolutely insane.
The blue and the black for sure, Zach. I don't know about the white.
The blue, I like the white. The white added a different touch. And that's one thing that's so nice about basketball is you get such creativity and such flexibility with your uniforms. Because the Sixers right now probably like 5 or 6 jerseys I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, these new ones I'm not really fond of. You wouldn't see me wearing it. Back to your original question. Is this a turning point? I don't think you can use a new look as a turning point unless you bring some new person in as well. Like a Buddy Hield. Maybe it's our new look, new person, new turn, like all this. It's like I don't view the jerseys as that. I view what they made in the front office and on the coaching staff as a turning point. As a winning culture. Remember, Daryl Morey was just brought here. You brought Doc Rivers in, and Sam Cassell, and a few others. Elton Brand comes back, which there's mixed emotions on that. But the call of the jersey is a new turning point. I don't believe in that. The new threads, they're okay. Zach, I'm not a big fan of them. But when it does give me hopes that there's a change of culture. They want to win here. There's a change of spirit. You know what I mean? That there's this vibe that
I hope so. And again, they haven't touched the roster yet. They've yet to touch the roster.
They haven't touched the roster. And all season, I was going to say free agency, summer, but fall. But Zach, that's coming up pretty soon. So we're going to see what's going to go on here. And the draft is 3 weeks away.
Yeah, right around the corner. We'll continue to do some draft covers there tomorrow. We're going to be breaking down the Masters and getting our predictions. Thursday will be Thursday Night Football. And, of course, Friday, getting predictions for the week. Gavin choosing the U.S. Open defending champion Bryson DeChambeau. I still have to think about it. I'm not quite sure yet who I'm going to pick, and it's not going to be myself. If I wasn't, I'd pick myself. But, of course, will not be there. Unfortunately, so I will not be showing up to Augusta. Maybe one year we'll go and report there. Who knows?
Zach, for me, it's between Tiger Woods or DeChambeau and Dustin Johnson.
Johnson's back, number one in the world still technically. With that being said, everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on today's More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. We'll try to get some hour shows. I know we try to promise to get at least one in a week as things continue to change here, but we appreciate you all for sticking with us through this. Thank you. Have a great day, and, of course, unite through sports.
Love everybody. Have a good one.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos.